A quick disclaimer, I had some tech issues while recording this video, so for parts of it I will be transforming into a coffee cup. Thanks for your understanding. Anyways, you ever see a cute sketch and think, oh, this is adorable, and totally hand-drawn, right? They do say it's hand-drawn right here. Except there is this persistent voice in your head clearly telling you something is wrong here. So I had this page follow me, and at the start I didn't think anything of it, and I sort of followed them back because I like supporting fellow artists. And then we even had an uninvited yet pleasant banter whereby they offered me one of their wallpapers for free just for following them. And looking back, this freebie for follow tactic is actually a little bit suspicious because there is no way this kind of interaction can be automated, and sending something back to everyone who follows you is actually quite labor intensive. So between creating your art, running your social media, etc., this is an odd amount of effort considering that not every one of your followers may even be interested. And I kept following the page, which I was happy to do anyway, since supposedly this was a fellow kawaii artist who used no AI in their creations according to their profile. So yay, of course, why wouldn't I want to support that? Except shortly after they posted this. And this image immediately set off every single red flag I have in my head for AI detection. And look, if you're not someone making art or sort of looking at art consistently, you can be forgiven for saying, Liz, what the heck do you mean? How do you immediately know this is AI? You can't prove that, there is no way. And while technically, yes, true, you can almost never definitively prove that something is AI generated, there are signs. There are always signs. And just looking broadly at this image, I immediately latch onto this weird font that is both neat and wonky. And if you look at other AI-generated images online, this is like the font ChatGPT tends to spit out. The composition is also really eerie, and there is just this weird sanitized look and feel to it, which human touch doesn't usually result in. It's never one or two things. It's always a big combination of them. Because we are just starting at the composition, but see what happens if we look closer? Yeah, this is where the things start to really fall apart. For example, have a look at those flowers. Many of them are straight up jumbled. They look like that little fox chewed them up and pooped them. Then also we have this weird, absolutely detached flower that is floating above its stem, and just like little artifacts that make absolutely no sense. This really sealed the deal for me personally, although again, I completely understand if you're still having doubts. So I decided to play dumb and see if the artist will at least confess. And I sent them this rather polite, in my opinion, message. Hey, just wanted to check if your latest post is AI generated. And then I explained why I thought this. There are some really weird artifacts, e.g. flower petals, and the font is also reminiscent of what AI tends to generate. And if you are betting on no confession, you are betting correctly. The artist kept denying their doings. No, this font is pretty basic font and used by a lot of people as it's very legible. I wanted to create something different. I'm sorry if this flags you as AI. I wanted to try out something different for this post. I thought black font would be boring, as that's what I usually use. I also usually use a fancier font as well. I was experimenting with this post, honestly. And to be clear, my allegations had very little to do with what they said here. It's not about font's legibility or color. It's about its inherent properties that scream ChatGPT to me. So I doubled down. And if you're still betting on no confession, you are absolutely right. The creator proceeds to say that they just did a random sketch just for it to be fun. And then the weird stuff starts, like, if you want, I will take it down. If you find it offensive, like, what? Why would I find it offensive? And I just say that, like, oh, it caught my eye, and you actually state no AI in a profile, so what is going on? And then they proceed to say that it doesn't match their feed, and thank you so much for letting me know, and I'll take it down. And at this point, my faith in humanity diminishes. But then it diminishes even further when the person has the audacity to see if their next generated image is going to be realistic enough. So they think I'm a dummy and was absolutely fooled before. Trying something more simple, what do you think? I used an actual coloring page this time, lol. I don't know what I was thinking doing a random sketch before. And I'm not going to be your test dummy. I just blocked them because I just don't want my art to be stolen or anyone to follow this page thinking that they're genuine, finding it from me, etc. So let's have a look at some of the other artworks of this majestic creator, kawaii, no AI artist, shall we? For example, how about this little unicorn? Oh, how adorable! Except look at this cup. Look at the straw closely. Where is this straw coming from? How is this cup lid structured? And one might say, oh, maybe they just forgot a layer. Again, I don't for a second think this is the case, but reminding you that detecting AI work rarely just comes from one image. It usually comes from that visceral feel, plus a lot of evidence from different pieces. Because the thing with these people is that they're never careful and inevitably their AI slop starts floating up to the top at some point. For example, look at this cute kitten. Nothing wrong at this stage, right? Well, at least not at a glance. But this kitten is actually paired with a sketch. This is one of the ways AI farms will try to convince you that their art is genuine. They will post a sketch alongside with their work. Except those sketches are often reverse engineered by the very same AI. Remember that their goal is to pump out as much as possible with as little effort as possible. The thing that was a butterfly wings embellishment before is now just awkwardly floating in the air. But the most hilarious part is how the cat's tail is just melting into the wing. And also something that you may not notice about those sketches if you're not someone who draws, is that it doesn't actually make any sense as a sketch. Like the way the strokes are structured and laid out are not consistent with how someone would typically draw. But again, this is a subtle piece of evidence and there are many more telling signs. Then we have this cute panda ice cream, but what's not so cute about it is how suddenly transparent glass of the ice cream cup is completely changing the color of the scoops. AI couldn't comprehend that and sort of changed the color once the line was between different views of the same scoop. So the green scoop is turning yellow, another green scoop is turning purple. It's a mess. And since we're exploring the art of pandas, this guy has two straws for some reason. Could it be because the first one is melting into the cup and behaving really weirdly? And again, some of you may be like, Liz, this is just a stylistic choice. But as a stylistic choice, it honestly doesn't make much sense. Having two straws here, one of which is not even drawn properly, this doesn't scream artist to me. This screams AI can't cope with the prompt. And the prompter doesn't have enough decency to reprompt it until they get a more cohesive looking result. Just lazy, really. We have another unicorn, and here we have a couple of suspicious details. For example, the horn here is just sort of slapped on top of their mane. And again, you could call it a stylistic choice, except most other unicorns from these artists have hairs sort of rendered and flowing correctly around the horn. If you look at the wing that is not fully visible and hiding behind, its placement and size and flow is also not making any sense. Something else that really pisses me off about this page is that they host draw it in your styles using those AI generated sketches, but I really wanted to use this one as an example because something happened that you can't make up. So this is the person's supposed sketch, right? And this is the drawing that goes alongside it. But then I decided to run a fun experiment and input a prompt that I thought would sort of closely resemble this style into ChatGPT. What I didn't expect is to get basically the exact same fox after inputting this prompt. This is wild. And this is not like we're dealing with some, famous page and AI just stole their images. And this is what on first go ChatGPT gives me on giving a really vague prompt. And again, this alone is not evidence that this person is using AI. That's just like such a cherry on top if you combine it with other findings. And another super fun thing about this creator is that they have what I think is their own page dedicated entirely to coloring their stuff from the other page that actually generates the AI slop. And they talk about it as if they just enjoy the coloring pages and keep doing them, except it's most likely, in my opinion, the same person. And how do I know this? Because it just so happens that the name of the person in their introduction post on this coloring page matches the name of the person running the AI art page. And this concludes my investigation. And no, I'm not implying that everyone out there is liar, liar, pants on fire. But I've seen enough to unfortunately state that many, many people are. More than you think. And if you're a real artist putting in the hard work, I see you and I truly appreciate you. Please keep it coming. And if you choose to heavily rely on AI in your creative process, I personally disagree and I don't like it, but hey, you do you, it's not illegal after all. However, maybe, just maybe, do not lie about it, because truth will come to light, I promise you.